And welcome. Let me just hurry up and go live on Instagram as well. I'm going to go ahead and share this on my personal page so that everyone can see what is happening here. You are in for a treat. Let's see. All right, let's see. Am I shared? All right, here we go. Boom, we're here.
We made it.
We made it. So, for those of you who don't know who I am, those of you who are watching live on Instagram and on Facebook, welcome to the Confidence Corner. I am Cherie Styles, the CEO and founder of Warrior Confidence, and you are tuned in to what is called the Confidence Corner, which is a platform for girls and women to talk about real life and how they face it with boldness and confidence. And so today I have the pleasure of sitting with Miss Aisha.
Hey.
And if you don't know, she works at CBS Interactive. And so this is a young female African-American woman who is in a male-dominated industry, the sports industry. And so this series, we are talking with millennials who are making moves. And for one, sports is not my thing. I've been trying to tell myself, like, I'm going to get into sports maybe this year, maybe this year, maybe this year. And I just find it, I admire those women who like sports, who are in the sports industry, because one, I just feel like there's more pressure for women in that field. And so I said, you know what? When I was thinking about millennials making moves, I'm like, who could I think of? Who is making moves? And I'm like, boom. And so I'm so glad, I'm so happy to have you here. And I just know that whatever it is that you're going to say is definitely going to help those watching live, those watching the replay. So without further ado, I'm going to let you have the floor so that you can introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about what it is that you do at CBS.
Okay. So as Cherie said, my name is Aisha Quinones. I am a 26-year-old young professional in the sports industry. I work with CBS Interactive, CBS Sports, whichever way you want to take it. And my role there is to be a senior editor of the app strategy, all of that. So pretty much just putting together like different plans as to how I plan on rolling out different features for the sports app for CBS Sports and figuring out different ways to just bring a different approach to what you see on other sports app platforms. So that's pretty much like a lot of alerts that you see get sent out from CBS Sports app or whatever new features you may see coming in the near future. I'm pretty much like one of the main minds behind that and just making sure you see something new and fresh that nobody has ever done before.
Awesome. So you are the mastermind behind the app.
Yeah.
Yes, you are. You hear that, everyone? We have a mastermind behind the app. So whatever you see, that is Miss Aisha right there. She is doing the dang on thing. I'm just so thrilled and excited because I don't know. Talk to me a little bit like sports. So why sports? Why not like, I don't know, typical girly things? You know how they try to put us in a box. Why not like makeup, or why not like fashion, or why not like one of those other girly careers that they put on us?
It's actually funny that you say that, especially the fashion aspect of it. When I was growing up, like sports was always a huge thing in my household. Like my grandma's a huge basketball fan, my uncle is a huge baseball fan. Everything like, and then I just pretty much learned to love football like on my own. So sports was always like a huge thing in my household. It was always on. Everybody was always cheering for their own team. So it was kind of like a natural thing for me to go into sports. But although that was the case, like I probably around like middle school, high school, I just was like, all right, I'm actually going to school for fashion because like I would always sketch and I would always have like this whole passion for like sewing, putting together like my own looks and stuff like that. So I was like, originally like the idea was to go to school for fashion, to be a fashion designer. And then once I got older and I started to hit like junior, senior year of high school, I was like, I don't think fashion is going to make that much money for me. Like being realistic with myself. And my grandma was like, well, it just makes more sense that you go to school for sports, something in sports more than fashion, because like you want a reliable career. And she just felt as if I was like more passionate about sports than I was with fashion. So it was the honest truth, like with myself. I was like, yeah, I felt like fashion was like more of a hobby for me at the time. And sports was just something I took more seriously, was like more indulged in. And it like my passion for it just grew more and more. So it just made sense for me to go into the sports industry. So I was like, okay, let's do this. And so I went to St. John's University in Queens, New York, and majored in sport management and journalism, and I just took it from there.
Nice. That is so funny. That I would say fashion. I mean, you are fashionable. Like I'm looking at you now when we've, talked in the past, and I've seen your pictures on Instagram. I'm like, oh, cute, cute. That
Thank
is
you.
so funny. That is funny that you made that switch. And so I'm assuming that you're loving it
Yes,
and that
definitely.
you're making moves.
Yep.
So with that comes a lot of headbutting, a lot of resistance, being as though you are a woman. And automatically, when a woman says, oh, yeah, I like such and such team, they're like, what you know about sports? I'm like, okay, well, I don't know anything about the sport. I just like the state, okay? So being as though like you know your stuff about sports and you know the industry, the sports world, what challenges have you faced or have you come against being a young woman in this field?
Whew, so many. I felt like not only being a woman in this industry is challenging, but being a Black woman on top of that makes it even more challenging. And I wouldn't want to be anything else but be a Black woman in this industry, because even though there's a lot of struggles we may face throughout this industry, or any industry for that matter, to be honest, I felt as if like I'm built enough to take on everything and just like do what I have to do to get through it. So I've never been like one to it's natural to let like certain stuff get you down, but not like sit in it and not let it bother you for too long. It's like, all right, get through it. It made me sad for like a day or two. Let's get through it. So I'd say just like, the stereotypical things of just like, oh, do you know such and such about this sport? Do you know, pretty much like always getting those, unnecessary quizzes from people. Like when you meet somebody, just like, oh, what do you know about the Packers? Or what do you know about like this stat from 1996 when somebody got this many touchdowns or something like that? And it's just like, all right, I'm not about to go through a whole quiz with you just to prove how much I know about the industry that I'm in. Like me being in it is enough right there. And I've already had to like, I wouldn't have gotten this far if I didn't know what I'm in the industry for. Cause it's just like people look at you and it's like, oh, you're a woman. They already try to downsize who you are and what you bring to the table. And also just like being Black on top of that, it's just like, all right, they really try to dismiss you, or they just try to make it seem like, all right, you're not as, important, your ideas are not as, shouldn't take you seriously, basically. So I've had to deal with that. And that's been like pretty much like a recent issue. I had to like pretty much gather myself and figure out how to get through it, because it was like a 3 or 4 year struggle for me, just trying to like not affect my mental health and knowing who I am as a person, know who I am as a professional. To just like, all right, you have the abilities, you know how to work hard, you know how to roll with the punches. So it's just like believing in myself to get through any obstacle that I come face to face with, no matter what.
Nice. I like what you said. You kind of answered my next question. But what I heard you say was basically I'm qualified to be in this role. So
Yep.
it doesn't matter what you think.
Mhm.
However, my resume is set up, and by the grace of God, I'm here. And
Exactly.
I ain't going nowhere. Period.
Ex-
Awesome. And so it's a constant, correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like you have to like constantly remind yourself like, okay, I'm here, I'm qualified, I can do this, I'm here for a reason. And so is that just with the field that you're in? Like what has your confidence journey been like? Is that something that you do like every day?
I feel as if it depends on where you are in life, like personally, professionally, aspect of your life. It more so I was always asking myself that question and like really pushing myself more because of where I was professionally. And I say like in my last job, I wasn't as happy as I would have liked to be quite honest. And I felt as if in that environment, it made me constantly question myself as if like, all right, I made it here, but just like external people, like external circumstances, like working around certain people just made me constantly be like, all right, why do I feel as if I'm not doing a good enough job for them? Why do I feel as if I have to constantly like go the extra mile more than other people have to? Because I feel as if I have to prove that my ideas are worthy for them to recognize my effort is, just being recognized all across the board. So I'd say now I don't feel as if I have to question myself. Like I feel like my whole entire existence as a person, as a professional, my ideas, everything about me is being embraced. Not only from my own personal perspective, but just like professionally or even like to the group of friends that I'm around, my family and everybody just helped me contribute to not question myself and knowing like, all right, you got this. Like put the past in the past. That really affected my mental and emotional health to like constantly not be as fully confident in myself. And now I'm just like, all right, I'm in a new chapter, I'm ready to move forward. And that really just made me remind myself I'm who I am. Like I know what I can do and I cannot let myself forget about that. So yeah, I really think it all depends on where you are in your own personal journey.
I love it. I love it. I love how you said, deal with the past, recognize, what it is that you've been through. Don't try to like push it over because I don't know. Like this is just real life. If you just keep going and you just put stuff under the rug and put stuff under the rug and try to, forget that it happened, it's gonna come up in some way, shape, or form, and it's gonna be ugly,
Yep.
and it's gonna be the wrong person who's gonna get the backlash of what so and so did at whatever job 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 months ago. Like, so I like that you said, just being real and being honest with yourself. Like, yeah, I've been
Right.
through some things and it hurt, but I'm
Yep.
not there anymore. I'm
Right.
in a new place, a new chapter. I love that you said that, a new chapter.
Yep.
This is new. So, like, how long have you been here with CBS?
It will be, I got here in March, so it's still pretty new, 4 or 5 months now. And I'm still pretty much like, I'm a New York City girl, born and raised in Harlem, New York. So being not only at a new job, but like in a whole new state altogether, like being in Florida, I'm now living in South Florida. And I'm just like, I always had like this whole dream of like moving to South Florida. I always told my friends, I was like, I'm moving to South Florida soon. I just know how. I was like, if a job open up, I'm going. Like, so I was always, I guess I spoke it into existence because it was just like the opportunity came at the perfect time for me to just join CBS Sports. And it seemed like it all aligned for me because I was like, all right, when I finished school, I was in grad school and I was like, when I finish school, that's when I ideally want to move. And it just happened a little sooner. Thankfully, I was already registered for like online classes for my last semester. So it wasn't any trouble for me to like make the move. I could still do my schoolwork without any problems. And yeah, it all just worked out. And I was just like, wow, I really manifested this. And it was just crazy because I actually came to South Florida about the same time I moved. So it was like this around like March, February of last year. I came down to South Florida with a friend for a birthday. And I remember I put on like an Instagram story around that time. I was like, give me a year. I'm going to be living in South Florida. And you know how Instagram like gives you like the memories like this day last year. And that popped up around the time I was like packing my stuff ready to leave New York. And I was like, wow, I really spoke this into existence, like really down to the almost exact time I said it. And a year later, like it all happened. So I'm really big on like speaking things into existence because it all came true for me. So I'm just like protecting my goals by not like telling everybody to a certain extent, but also like telling like the people who believe in me and really speak life into my dreams and my goals that I want to accomplish. So yeah, I'm big on manifestation for sure.
I love that. And that is so key, especially when you're trying to like build your confidence, you're trying to, just believe more in yourself, have more self-esteem. You have to speak things into existence.
Yep.
We have the power to speak life and to speak death. And a lot of times the girls that I come across, they're like, oh, I'm just so negative, negative, negative. I'm just so negative, negative. I'm like, all right, well, if you're going to keep being negative, 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 that's all you're going to get. So you're going to have to change the words, change your language so that you can see things. And I like that you gave the time frame. You said it was about a year, right?
Yep.
So it's not going to happen overnight.
Exactly.
I've been wanting things. Okay, proper English. I want things to happen so bad, so fast. But it's like, no, there's a process to everything. And I like your process. I like that you shared that with us because you are definitely going to help someone on this live, on this replay. Listen here, guys, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's not going to happen overnight. But if you continue to speak it, continue to believe, continue to press, it will happen at the proper time.
Yep. Also, vision boards. If anybody loves doing vision boards, that has really helped me. I've done them for like out of the past three out of the past 4 years. And I just really get as detailed as I possibly can. Every like January, when the year first starts, I just sit down, gather images, gather like certain words and everything, put it on a board and go from there. And I'm just like, I've even put like Bible scriptures around it to just help my whole belief and like really build my faith to be like, all right, even the times I get discouraged, it's like a reminder that my vision board is there when I wake up. And I'm just like, all right, this is the goal that you're striving towards. Don't get discouraged that it's not happening in the time that you want it to happen. Like it'll happen, not on your time, but on God's time. So you just have to stay patient. I know it's hard, but it literally is. It's like, all right, you just gotta like sit down and just sit with yourself and be like, all right, it's going to happen. Just stay the course, do what you have to do in the meantime, and it'll come true. Because a lot of the stuff I put on my vision boards, they definitely come true. So, yep, it's the needed reminder.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So, what advice would you give to someone who is trying to get into your field? Let's say we have a young lady who's trying to get into the sports industry, or it doesn't even have to be particularly sports, but just like any advice that you would have for someone that's trying to get anywhere.
Stay headstrong. That is the biggest advice I would give any woman in any industry, especially in the media industry, sports industry. Because that's the advice I would give like 26-year-old, like I'm currently 26. That's the advice I would give myself if I was like 18-year-old Aisha. Like I'm looking back on him like, all right, you gotta stay headstrong. Like there's so many things that you're going to come across that people will try to pretty much like do everything they can to. My dog is so she's like, give me attention. But yeah, stay headstrong because there's so many things you're going to come across, but you cannot let it get to you. You can't let it be like the end all be all as to what makes it stop you. You can't let external factors, external people be the reason why you stop doing what you're doing. And even in the midst of that, of staying headstrong, stay graceful in the midst of that as well, because in the midst of struggle, there's going to be times you want to react. There's going to be times where you're going to get frustrated. You're going to get mad at yourself and at other people. And you have to have the grace to just be like, all right, I can't always react. Like, I can't let this be the determining factor as to why I'm just like thinking, like speaking before I think, or doing something that'll cost my future job or whatever the cost may be. And like a lot of that also goes like this day and age with social media being such a big thing. And I'm like, I tell people all the time, social media is not your journal. Like,
it is not your journal. Tell it again for the people in the back.
I really like, and that's something I would tell myself again, like 16-year-old, 17-year-old, 18-year-old Aisha, I would have been like, girl, stop posting certain stuff, because things are not, it's not Instagram, Twitter, it's not your journal. Stop posting everything that you feel as if, oh my gosh, like I just broke up with such and such, like I'm going through it. Like these companies are watching your social media very closely. Like they're looking at your social media more than they're looking at your resume, honestly. And you have to stay cognizant of that, because if you're always posting something that's just like, all right, they not in the right headspace to be in this position, you have to remind yourself, be like, all right, let me think before I post. Because, and that's why I say stay graceful in person and on social media, because you have to think before you say something, think before you post something, because everything goes into account when it comes to your career. And you just have to really have that discernment to know what to do and what not to do in a lot of moments. So yeah, I think staying headstrong and staying graceful is like the top two things I would suggest for any woman in any industry.
I love it. Stay graceful and stay headstrong. And remember, social media is not your diary. I try to tell my girls like all the time, like you seem really crazy. One minute you're good, and then the next minute you're half naked, and the next minute you cussing, and the next minute you singing praises to Jesus. I'm like, all right, so what's going on? What is going on? You seem very unstable, and if you're trying to get a job, they're gonna bypass you.
Exactly.
Because you seem like you can't handle the pressures of life, and you can't handle the pressures that will come with this job.
And they're gonna look at it and be like, it's too much going on. We can't figure it out. We don't know what to do. Like we don't know how she's gonna behave in the role. So it's just, it's very confusing for a lot of employers. So please just try to keep it as like professional as possible, or just try to make it, you know, one focus subject on all across your social media, because it's, yeah, they pay close attention to it. So yeah.
Gotcha. You hear that, ladies? This is not even just for the young people or the millennials. It's for adults too.
Yep.
Because I see some adults and y'all just not acting like adults.
Not at all.
I'm just like, what is going on? I don't understand. Okay.
That's me. That I really be looking at people. I'm like, what is happening? Like you forgot. We can all see. We can all see this. Like this is not cool whatsoever.
And it doesn't go away. Like I can screen record and screenshot, and it will come up at the most inopportune moment.
Yep. So every time.
Yep. But one more thing before we go, I do want to ask you, how do you balance being a young professional, having friends, balance relationships? I mean, we're still kind of in quarantine. Things are kind of opening up just a little bit. But like, how do you balance and find the time to give attention to everyone?
Honestly speaking, it's still a work in progress. Balance is something I feel like I had a hold on balance better when I was undergrad at St. John's University than I do now, because I feel like my life just ramped up more and more. And I'd say for the most part, I'm doing a better job now as to like making time for myself, making time for my family, and making time for like knowing like when I'm working, just like, all right, my shift is like what, 9 to 6, let's say. And then like, I'm so adamant now about when it's 6 o'clock, that's it. I'm not big on like carrying work past that time. I'm just like, after 6 o'clock, it can wait because like it's me time, like it's my family time or whatever the case may be. So I'm trying to do better now. It's not. It's still rough sometimes, honestly. But I'm such a big person on self care too because I know like I ran myself into the ground a lot, especially when I was in grad school and still working full time. It was a lot, just like running from work and going straight to class, and it's like I was constantly on empty, and I didn't like the way I felt. And I was like, I can't pour into others. I can't pour it into work. I can't pour into anything that I'm doing if I'm running on empty because what good does that do for anybody? It's not doing good for me. It's not doing good for no one in the situation. So I really started to put like my self-care as priority about like a year or so ago because I was just like, yeah, I was mentally exhausted. I was just out of it a lot of the times. I was just like running, doing everything. So yeah, making sure I get the self-care in, making sure I get the family time in. It's just hard now because like you said, we're in quarantine. I'm away from my family. So it's just like, oh, it's like the self-care has gotten better because I'm here by myself. But also it's like the family time, I kind of can't help at the same time because like I'm away from them. So it's only but so much I can do. But I'm still like making a way to like do the FaceTimes and making sure we're all included in some type of way to make it work. And I say for like the romantic relationship part, I'm still trying to figure that out. I think I'm trying to find like a person that's my speed and understands like my morals, my values, and also how big I am on needing time for myself and needing time for respecting my work schedule or respecting just me overall, trying to be a better person. And so I need somebody who understands that. I think that will figure out the balance for like the romantic relationship part because that's still the ultimate struggle for me in that aspect too. So yeah, I feel like the older I get, the better it's getting. And I think quarantine really forced that because it really forced us all to like sit down and figure out you need to take care of yourself. Like you have all the time on your hands, and now is the time to do everything you can to take care of you and not be running on empty all the time. So yeah, I feel like this whole situation, even though the pandemic is bad overall, I feel like it's a blessing in disguise at the same time.
It is. It can be if you allow it to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Good stuff. I think that's one thing as millennials that we're all trying to get a hold of. Not even just millennials, if I think about it, just people in general, just trying to find balance in life
Right.
with everything. Because sometimes we get so driven with jobs and careers that we forget about our health.
Right.
Or like me, I'll stay on the computer and I won't eat until I'm done what it is
Yep.
I set out to do at the computer. I'm like, oh dang, it's 3 o'clock. I need to
Yep.
get up. Like I need to stretch my legs.
Yep. That's me. I'm always like bogged down. I'm like, all right, I'll eat in an hour. Hour goes by. Next thing you know, it's like 3, 4 hours later. I'm like, I still haven't eaten. And by that time, it's already like the day's almost gone. And it's like you have to designate times where you're like stepping away to take care of yourself because it's the day can get a lot. Like anything that you're doing, it's just you have to make sure like put a reminder on your phone or do whatever you have to do to make sure that you're like, all right, I gotta step away, stretch, eat, whatever, do a little exercise or whatever the case may be. As cliche as it sounds, but it's necessary because we have to mentally, physically, emotionally, everything be aligned to do what we have to do at our fullest potential. And I think that's the biggest thing I have to keep reminding myself day in and day out. And everybody should like also remind themselves as well.
Indeed. I agree with you 100%. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you got something out of this. I know I did. I was definitely encouraged. Oh, the word for me that's been like my word for like ever is definitely patience. Like just being patient with the process, you know? So I thank you for sharing your story, for being open and honest, and for the advice that you have given, not just me, but like to those who are watching now and the replay, being headstrong, being graceful. Very, very good stuff. I just want to thank you again so much for your time. You are amazing. And we'll be talking. I'm going to text you and stuff.
Yes, I'll be here. Thank you for having me. This was great. I felt like I needed to I feel like a vent session in a way, but I was like, it's a very helpful one because I'm like, I had to really relate and like get some stuff out about where I am in my journey right now. So this was really helpful for
Yay.
me as well.
Awesome. I'm glad you helped me. I help you. We help each other.
Yes.
It is beautiful. And so, to those who are still watching, I want to thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Confidence Corner. Next week, I will be back at 8 p.m. I'll be talking with Miss Chanel, and she works at HBO Max, another millennial who is making moves in this industry. And then I have exciting news. I'll wait till next week to share it. So make sure you tune in. Make sure you share the stream if you haven't already. For those who are watching on Instagram, thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, don't forget your confidence. Thank you so much, Aisha.
Thank
Have
you.
fun. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Bye.